And good morning, and welcome to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. As we talk basketball, the head coach of the Wawasee Warriors, Coach John Everingham. Coach, thanks for coming in this morning.
All right, I think we're ready to talk about some positive things, especially in segment one here. I think we're going to have a little fun.
What an environment last night with the All for One program. I've never seen anything like it, Coach. Coach Szynal, you've been around a lot longer than I have, and to see something that was obviously put together by the kids, not by adults, but by the kids. It would have taken 5 days. We had a day off in there because of cold that we weren't expecting. But all those activities, they had a couple dozen different activities. They involved every kid from the age of 5 to the age of 18. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Nothing like that. And, you came in and the gym was all decorated. The halls were all decorated. They had that. My favorite part was that ice cream, of course. They had the ice cream vendor there.
And a huge silent auction.
And everybody was, I even talked to a couple of the Concord people, and they were all excited. Yeah. Everybody had T-shirts.
Concord participated. He brought the other team in and their school, and they raised money for Elkhart County's cancer care operation.
And over $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, gee, money, Christmas. And, you and I both, you got to give Van Loo credit.
Devin Van Loo was the real ramrod on this, and he's the one who really pushed it. He's the senior here at Wawasee. He's the one who pushed it all to happen. A lot of other kids helped him, but Devin was the leader, and he made this whole. And I got to tell you, he's an Eagle Scout.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's an Eagle Scout, and that showed last night. But he really made that happen, and that wasn't an Eagle Scout. That was a project. That was like an Eagle project on steroids. That thing was huge last night.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It was huge. And it was great for everybody. I mean, cancer is such a huge threat.
It is.
I thought Miller did a great job on her speech.
She did.
And everybody knows somebody that's got it, and to try to defeat it. And like I said on the air last night, back in the day, both my parents smoked because they didn't know about lung cancer.
That's right.
And now, you have all of this information and all this research and all this help that's being done to kill cancer. And last night, I mean, those kids and everybody did such a great job.
So, Coach Everingham, tell us a little bit about what your team did to participate in that event. How did you guys? How were you guys part of the action last night?
Yeah, I mean, for me, as a coach, I came. They were live on the air during the school day. I came over and talked on the radio, and just amazing to kind of see. Anytime I think that you can get things going, initiatives inside your school building where it's student-led. I know I was asking them live on the air, like, how much money have we raised so far and what are our goals? And I think they said $2,500 or maybe $4,500. So to hear those final numbers be at $10,000, it's just one of those nights that kind of came together.
Yeah.
And obviously being student-led and Devin Van Loo and the people in the drama club and other representatives, adults and students, in the school that kind of came together to make it happen. It just seemed like everything kind of came together, and listening to, Amy Miller, give her speech, and that was certainly touching, and it just felt right, and I gave Derek Dishon, the Concord coach, a call. It was about 2:00 in the afternoon, and let him know. I just wanted to get his thoughts on stopping the clock at 5 minutes.
Right in the pregame.
Yeah, in the pregame, which is really uncommon. To do. And he's like, look, this is for a good cause. Whatever you guys want to do, whatever you feel is right, I trust you, and just do what you feel is right. And so, I think originally they had Amy scheduled to speak before the 20 minutes start, but we really wanted to make sure everybody's in their seats, and because it's just kind of one of those nights. I know we played a basketball game, and certainly we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But it just felt like something bigger was happening, last night at Wawasee, inside of our gym, and Amy being a Concord grad and coaching, at Concord and having, the family background and the roots, in the Elkhart area, and then her teaching here 27 years. I think she said, teaching here and being involved in athletics, and she's the senior class sponsor and everything like that. And unfortunately, I know she would give up, all of those things and just to not have cancer, but she got cancer and she was able to tell her story.
Well, and she was so physically fit, and she was maybe the fittest person that I've known for a long period of time. She was incredibly physically fit, and she got it. I mean, there's nothing you can do to prevent. There are things you can do to make it, from a probability standpoint, less likely, but there's nothing you can do to prevent its occurrence. There's no vaccination shot.
Yeah,
no.
And we play a game, right? And there's a winner and a loser in every game that we play, and we'd like to win more, right? But certainly we're using, the game of basketball as just a platform to teach kids things that will make them successful later on in life. And I'll bet you anything, if Amy was here right now in the studio, she would say through her coaching years and her time in athletics that it kind of taught her, it really helped her and kind of motivated her to be the person she is today. And the positivity that she expressed, in her speech, and I think that goes a long way, and for us as a team to really talk about that even today, to say, hey, we lost a basketball game last night, and we could have done some things better, but how are we going to respond to that? Because Amy didn't want to get cancer, right? But how she responded to bad news, she continued to teach on that day.
Yes.
She taught period 6 and 7.
What a speech she gave.
I get that news, and I'm probably running out the door, and who knows what I'm going to be doing. But what an amazing woman that she is, and she's been a longtime friend of my wife, Carly. And I was just felt like we were all in a good spot, everyone together. And as she was talking, I thought it was pretty cool. And then on top of that, the fact that we raised over $10,000, I think just icing on the cake last night.
One of the things I did like about her speech too is since she graduated from Concord, she brought the Concord people into this event, and they were cheering, and the whole complex of the game, I thought, was very, very help me.
Collegial.
Ideal, yeah. They were nice to each other. You didn't see any, the Concord people. They were cheering at things.
It changed the whole. At least to me, it changed the whole feel in the gymnasium.
Yeah. That's what I need to
say. Throughout the entire contest.
Yes, exactly. That was the point I was trying to make.
I will tell you a story. This is, we like behind the scenes type things, but I have no idea what the perception is of me on the sidelines, but I do get excited from time to time. But the relationship that I had with the officials, because I know those guys, it may have looked like I was getting on those officials, but I think every time we were talking like, hey, tonight's not the night that we're going to disagree on anything.
Yeah.
I said, we're here for a good cause, and I know Tim Hammond, the official, we had some spirited talks, but it was all positive, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it looked or the perception was different than what it actually was. And but it did affect the whole night. I think everybody was there for the right reasons, and it certainly puts things into perspective. For me personally, a couple events this year, and this is one of them, that really put things into perspective of why we do what we do, and the platform that I have as a coach and the rest of our coaching staff. It's so easy to get frustrated and negative, and we're just not going to do that. We got great kids that are playing hard, and maybe a few things here and there that we could do better, X's and O's wise, but in the big picture, it doesn't really matter. What we're trying to teach these kids, it's education, it's school. I really, that helped keep things in perspective last night, I think, after the game.
So we did play a basketball game last night. Wawasee fell to Concord last night. What were your impressions of the game, Coach?
I think again, after saying that we're going to keep it positive, that's what we need to do. We find ourselves in like a Groundhog Day, scenario where we are really competitive. We look like a good basketball team for stretches of games, and there's an answer out there, I'm sure, but we just don't know exactly what that answer is. I don't know if it's fatigue, lack of practice. It certainly isn't bad attitudes or negative behavior from our players. And so I'm not sure exactly, why we can't continue to do the things that we do that make us successful inside of a game for 32 minutes. We just haven't really been able to kind of put a game together against a good team in the NLC. I know we'll talk about Bethany just a little bit, and we played a game there where the other team kind of ran out of gas and did some things foolish, down the stretch. And so teams are right now just manning up. They're not doing any pressing or real trapping or trapping for a long period of time. because they just play us man to man. They put one of their guys on one of our guys, and they play really physical.
I was really impressed with the first half. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! I mean, the first quarter we were down 12-8, and then all of a sudden in the second quarter, we outscored them 17-9. So we came out with a 25-21 lead in the half, and Bill and I looked at each other and said, "Hey, they played, and did they play hard?
Yeah,
they played really hard that first half." And I thought, wow. And then it's kind of deteriorated when they came back for the second half, but they still never gave up. Yeah. I mean, you still had them coming down there and playing tough defense, and I just thought, like you just keep saying, they played hard, just did not have enough to win.
Yeah, and I think we were down 8-0. I'm pretty sure it was 8-0, 8-0, and and we also don't get rattled or shaken. We don't look we lose our poise. We may have to start digging into that bench a little bit. Maybe it's a mental grind that's affecting our guys. Maybe it's we talked off air. Maybe it's their age.
I got to tell you, last night you got these young kids out there. Oh, Weldy can match up with a Darcy. All right, physically they appear similar. Well, when you bring a freshman out there to run up against a Marion Moore, all right, all-state running back, the guy's built like a semi truck. All right. Somewhere along the way, he's going to win the battle.
Yeah, right. That's so true.
And they had 2 or 3 of those guys. The Shepherd kid that's built like a brick outhouse. The Kavanaugh. The Kavanaugh kid, very tall, physically imposing. I think last night's game had a physicality element that maybe we haven't seen since Warsaw. Yeah,
Warsaw and Northwood certainly tried to do the same types of things, in those 2 other games, that's exactly what happened. They just wore us down, and so we put Weston Hoffert in the game. You talk about freshmen that, Weston Hoffert, Robbie Finlinson, and Carson Smith and Darius Lewis. Those guys are freshmen, sophomores that are doing it. They're really developing on the JV, and they're doing some good things. And but we bring Weston in the second quarter, and he looks like a
Weston's 5'6". He's guarding a kid 6'3".
Yeah, so I mean, our options are a little bit limited, but on the positive side of that, what great experiences those guys are getting against. I can't even imagine what at age 15 what I would have done. If I would have got into a varsity. I wasn't ready till I was probably 17. To get into a varsity game and had 2 fairly successful years. But if I was thrown into something like that, it's something that we have to keep a close eye on, because we don't want these guys getting discouraged.
No, but those experiences are going to have a multiplier effect. That is going to compound in experience and will pay off huge dividends down the road.
Yeah, true. Absolutely, 100%. That's going to happen, and everybody wants to win right now. I certainly understand that. I do too. But we're certainly putting some investing stock into some of these younger guys that's going to pay off down the stretch, and underclassmen, even Colin Roberson. Roberson, had some nice minutes last night. So a lot of positives that happened last night, off the floor, on the floor of the game, and I was proud of our guys for hanging in there and staying positive.
More with Coach Everingham here in just a moment on Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 92.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com as we talk to the head coach of the Wawasee Warrior basketball program, Coach John Everingham. Coach, we had a nice game against Bethany the other day. That was a team that we physically matched up with pretty well, and we looked pretty good.
Yeah, we did. I mean, they gave us everything we could handle, especially in the first half there. I think it was tied going.
It was tied, 22-all.
22-all going in the second half. They got a couple really good players. Beck Willems, is a 1,000-point scorer, and the Chupp kid definitely can shoot, from the outside. And so they were exploiting some of our weaknesses and how we're defending ball screens right now. We got to take a look at that because Chupp got some open shots. We tend to try to stay on our man and go underneath the ball screens, and we're going to have to take a look at that. Concord last night forced us to go to a different style of how we play those ball screens. But, Chupp made us pay, by draining, I don't know, 4 or 5 threes, I think, in the game. And I was talking to the Concord coach last night about some of the teams that you traditionally would look at as an automatic win on your schedule, and Bethany Christian used to be, but
not so much now.
Man, they got a couple good players, their role players, and their coach. Coach Mass does a nice job. They move the ball well. They screen, they play off each other well. So they gave us everything we could handle. We just probably had more skill at the 3, 4, 5 position that they had that finally kind of came through. And to be perfectly honest, Dukes didn't have a good first half. I think he might have had 2 points going into halftime.
But his defense all night long was just tremendous
on Willems.
Yeah, he lived in Willems' jersey.
If Dukes had played the night he played against Willems would have had 35.
Yeah. And he's capable of doing that too. I mean, he can put the ball in the hoop. He can score from the outside.
Yep.
You start coming up on him, and he's got the ability to drive and post up. And so he did all 3 of those. Against us, it felt like he had about 30 points, but I think he only had 14 points.
He had 14 points, right.
And so, Dukes did a nice job. And then Dukes comes out in the second half.
Oh, my gosh.
And I may have, said a few things to him at halftime and didn't holler at him or anything, but just said, look, man, you can either carry us or not. And so I challenged him a little bit, and he comes out. Actually, in the second half of the Bethany game, he has 22 points and a half. And then last night, he scores 26 against Concord. When everybody's keying on him, he's finding a way to be very effective offensively. He hit a couple threes last night. So 26 points last night and 22 points and a half in the second half against Bethany. He clearly is, and everybody knows it. He's our main guy. He's going to guard the other team's best player, and he's going to be our main scorer. And when he does that, he gives us a chance to win basketball games.
When I interview the other coaches, a lot of times they say, "Yep, we got to stop Dukes," and the other thing they always say is, "We got to stop everybody from shooting threes." Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 things that Wawasee is really noted for: the threes from a lot of different players, and Dukes' ability to drive and score. And then Bill and I, while Bill's calling the game, I love to watch Dukes play defense against whoever their main guy is. And that is always fun, and it's always huge contests that Dukes puts forward.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you that. Okay, so without knowing the exact stats, I was just thinking as you were talking. I probably should know this, but Max Preps and some other outlets, they'll put rankings on the online, and that's everybody submits their stats, and we're just not really all about individual accomplishments, but every once in a while you point those out. I know Keaton is nearing 1,000 points, and that's a major accomplishment. I told him the other day, I don't care if you end up with 950, 980, or over 1,000. To me, he's a special player, and I just don't care what that final number is. If it was pushing for a career, scoring record, he's already in the top 10 in scoring in Wawasee basketball history. If he could surpass that 1,000 points, he's getting a little closer, and has certainly got a chance. But to me, in my mind, it doesn't really matter. But it is an individual accomplishment that is amazing, to score that many points in your career. And maybe 8 players in the history of our school have gotten to that point. So what a special accomplishment that is.
Yeah, I want it noted that I was not one of those that scored 1,000 points.
One of the other things is Dukes doesn't care. I mean, his attitude and the attitude of this team is just unbelievable.
Just win, baby.
Yeah, and I was watching last night after the game. Several kids went up to Weldy, and they were just, not like, can I have
Talk
your
about
autograph?
A kid that can play some defense.
Yeah,
there's a kid that can play some defense, and his distribution skills are incredible.
Yeah, and unselfishness. The Everinghams, I don't know where that came from. Yeah. Probably not their dad, but you got Felger, Dukes, all these kids, Weldy especially. They're all very, very unselfish.
Yeah, they really are. And you give them a job to do, and they're doing it to the best of their ability. Maddox, Everingham is generally speaking, again, I wish I knew exactly where he ranks in the state in 3-point shooting, but Generally speaking, if you're up around 50% on the 3-point shooting, for us, and I think for most coaches, if you take 3 shots and you can make one of them and you shoot 33%, from the 3-point line, that is more than acceptable to continue to do that. So that's 1 point per shot. So we take a look at statistics, but, Maddox, right now, last night he was 2 for 5 from the 3-point line, and his percentage is right at, I think 40, maybe 41, 42, 43%, which has got to put him, in some rankings somewhere in 3-point, percentage. And so, Miles is up. Last night he was 2 for 4, from the 3-point line, and certainly his percentage is continuing to go. The last 5 games, I think it's been up around 40 as well. But then you look at our team free throw shooting percentage.
That's an unbelievable number.
We're shooting almost 75%, and usually you can still win. If you're at 60, like 60 to 62, you can still win basketball games, but you're going to lose some because you can't make free throws. And where you'd really like to be as a coach, you'd really like to be around 70% as a team.
I always
that
thought
would be
it
on
was
the
a
high
30,
level.
50, 70 type of breakout on that.
And so we're shooting like 74% from the free throw line. And last night, again, 77% from the free throw line. So one might think, get the ball inside, get fouled more often. And that's one of our focuses, going into, upcoming games is we have a weapon that we're not quite using yet is getting to the free throw line and making free throws. And so you heard me maybe last week talk a little bit about getting the ball inside and doing a little bit. Well, what comes with that is fouls, it's getting fouled and getting to the free throw line. So just trying to go over some of those positive things, Kaz, you talked about our role players having a great attitude, and you should come to our practices and you would think, man, these guys look like they get along really, really well. Well, guess what? They do. They really do. And it starts with your senior leaders and Welty and Dukes that kind of set the tone for the locker room and practices and everything like that. So we got some good things going on. We would obviously like to win a couple games here and kind of get back on a roll.
Coach, I just was really impressed, too, last night, especially with Dukes again. Like you said, in the first half, it didn't come out. But then in the second half, gee, many Christmas. And his 26 points total. 26, I got him for 26 points total last night. Yeah. Just a really good player. And everybody, when you interview these kids, they all talk about their roles. None of them. I've said this a million times. Here's 1,000,001. It's a great group of kids to work with. Whether you win all your games or lose all your games, that is important. But it's still working with these kids and having them have a great basketball not career, but session, season. There you go. I'll think of it. Don't get Alzheimer's. A great basketball season, and you guys are. I think everybody's having a great season.
And even more impressive than that, Coach, Kaz, you and I have seen Wawasee teams.
Yes.
With 11 great kids and 1 poison pill.
Yeah.
And 1 poison pill can poison an entire team.
Yeah.
You and I witnessed one team that was fantastic, and 1 shot from 1 poison pill at 1 school at the end of 1 game poisoned the next 7. We saw that. It can happen. It did happen. This team hasn't got that.
Oh, no.
To get this many kids together who all have the right attitude.
Yes, well put.
That speaks to parenting. That speaks to coaching, because that doesn't just happen if you just naturally accept that.
Well, I'll give you a good example. I think Colin Roberson is, he's struggling just a little bit, and he's had every opportunity to kind of, to fall by the wayside, have a terrible attitude. The coach stinks, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He benched me. I'm not starting anymore. Like, he's got a whole list of things that the reasons why he would have a bad attitude. And yet you see that guy in practice. I envision practice on Thursday. And I remember it was at the beginning of practice, and we hadn't quite worked up a sweat yet. The ball goes squirting loose, and he runs across the half-court line, and he dives for the loose ball. Oh, my gosh.
In
practice, and he hadn't worked up a sweat, so the sound of your skin across the floor. And so he didn't really have to dive for that ball, But I noted it. I'm going, okay, that kid is still with us. I mean, he wants to be good. He's working hard, and he's putting a smile on his face, even through some adversity that he's facing on the basketball floor. You know, the kids love him. Everybody's rooting for him. You know, but we had to make a shift in our starting lineup, which I think all of our guys understand that. But it doesn't affect their attitudes, and so you know. We've had situations, let's just say this in general terms. I've coached long enough, 14 years, and certainly I have experienced the poison as well. And usually, generally, that comes out on the floor. Mm-hmm. You know, the guy tosses the ball, gets a technical foul. You know, he gets chested up with another player or pushes, or, you know, something negative happens on the floor, and the coach has got to take him out and talk to him and try to teach and coach. I mean, how many times have you seen that this year from our team? Zero. You know, the guys are handing the balls to the officials, having a good, positive attitude. We have seen zero instances of guys pointing fingers or yelling at their teammates or having a bad attitude. And so I do also think that kind of stems from the family home life and the support of the parents at home. I'm just really proud of our guys, and you know, ultimately they're kids. They're out there performing in front of thousands of people, and as an adult coach, as the head coach, you know, I'm trying to think through what can I do to help them be more successful on the floor. And I think there's some answers out there, and you know, I've said it before, but you know, if you want to blame somebody, blame me. I'm the adult. I'm the head coach. I'm in charge of the program. We got to do some better things in some better areas. I got to do a better job coaching. It's not the kids' fault. They're doing everything we ask them to do. They're doing it with a positive attitude, and just couldn't be more proud of coaching these young men.
You know, one of the things I saw last night, too, was if somebody would be fouled or something, the Concord kid would be talking with the Wawasee kid several times. I mean, it's like, and they would be laughing. You know, somebody would say something, so the teams are getting along, even though they're competitive against each other and fighting as hard as they can. The kids, the Concord kids, are getting along with the Wawasee kids, and that not only in this game, but in other games where the kids have been very positive with their opponent.
And still playing physical.
That's right.
Yeah, and still, now that's over. Now we're back. Exactly. Yeah. Forgot to bring that point out.
Very difficult to do, and shows a great level of maturity. You've got somebody you want to bring in.
Yeah, we're going to bring in the managers today, and so we're going to bring in Trinity, Roberson, and Caydence, Chupp. And so I'm excited for you guys to talk to them. They're a huge part of what we do. We consider them almost like student assistant coaches, more so than managers. We don't like to call them managers, but they do a lot for us, and they do an amazing job. I'm looking forward to having you guys talk to them.
Fantastic. We're going to talk to those two young ladies here in just a moment on Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Coach, we've got a couple of special guests here in the studio. Why don't you introduce them for us?
Okay, Bill, we got Trinity Roberson, right? How do you say that again? Roberson. And you are the sister of?
Colin Roberson.
Oh, man. And that's going to be really interesting. And then Caydence Chupp? No, what's your? Caydence Chupp. And you're both sophomores, and you're both here, and you're managers, and this has got to be such an interesting job for you guys.
Tell us a little bit about what managers do.
So every day after school, we fill up waters, get their practice jerseys ready out of the washer and dryer. Occasionally, we make snacks for them after their basketball games.
We talk to them a lot, not when they're practicing, but we do most of their stuff that the coaches do. We print their practice plans. We set up stuff. So
you print their practice plans. Tell me about that. That I'm not aware of. I'm not familiar with that.
So every day, Coach, he has this website, I assume, that he goes on and he types what we do, like plan by plan, and he even has it down to the minute.
Does every kid have a different one?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
There's one for the team. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
it's sort of like an agenda. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So, go ahead, Coach.
No, I was just going to say, it's really interesting. I watch you guys, and you interact so well with all the team members, when they come in. And the other thing, and Bill and I talked about it, the other part is that when they're playing, you guys are really into watching them play. And look at you shaking your head, yes, and the excitement that you guys have. I mean, it's like he could send you out there to play guard or something.
Oh yeah.
I played from 5th grade up until last year.
Mm-hmm.
I fell kind of out of love with the game, but I still wanted to be connected with Wawasee and basketball. So I talked to Trinity because she had already, last year, she was like, I'm going to manage because her brother, and she had nothing really going on. So she's like, I'm going to manage. So I was like, okay, if I'm not going to do basketball and actually play, I want to be close. So I figured, might as well. And I already manage during football.
Okay, so you're just continuing on with for the year with what you were doing. Yep. Talk about the difference between football managing and basketball managing.
Oh, my word. Football managing, it's hot. Oh, man, it's hot because you're always outside. But there's so much more to do, I feel like, during football because there's so much stuff you have to get out. But the connection that I have with the boys on the basketball team is so much greater because there's just so less of them.
So more to do in football, but a better connection in basketball.
Yes.
Interesting. Maybe because of the numbers and the fact that with football you got all that transit time when you're carrying stuff back and forth. I mean, you wouldn't think that there's that much to it, but the number of trips you make, it really makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. It makes a big difference.
So tell me a little bit about having a brother on the team that you're managing. That's got to be a little... Well, it's got to be interesting.
So me and Colin have a great relationship off the start. We've been close buddies for the longest period of time ever. And once I got into high school, we got super close. And so I already knew we'd have our differences and arguments and stuff. But I asked him, I said, is it okay if I manage your basketball team? And he said, yeah, that would be great. And I definitely feel like being on the basketball team with him has brought us closer just as siblings. And I was worried about it, but now I'm just it's they're family to me, and it's.
Is it different for you when you go on the road versus when you're home?
For games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So when we go on the road, it's
Is it more work to go on the road, or is it more work to be at home?
It's more work to go on the road just because we have to transport all the equipment and everything, but our boys do help out a lot and help us with it. So
okay, so interesting. What do you think you get out of managing? Why do you do it? What do you get out of it? I know what the team gets out of it. They get out of it a lot of help. What do you get out of it?
The relationships and it helps. Yeah, I don't know, just getting closer with a lot of the boys and being able to make those connections.
Caydence, you said you got the continuing connection with basketball. Talk a little bit about your future plans. Where do you intend to go with that? First of all, do you intend to stay a manager?
Well, I think I want to finish out high school being a manager.
Okay.
But furthering on, in college, I don't know what I plan to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think people do it, and I think it's fun for them, but I don't know if that's something for me.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed on your letter jacket there you do track. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I do shot put and discus. So in the spring, I'm not a manager, which is kind of sad, but it gives me a little bit of break, and
sure.
I get tended to.
Yeah.
So I like shot. I just went into it this year, and the coach is amazing. I have a stronger ability, so I was born into it, I guess.
Okay. So you feel like physically you match up well with the sport for shot put and discus.
Oh yeah, you don't have to be a certain look, but with me, I lift because in the class we have here. That's
really?
Also just, yeah.
Do you lift too?
No, but I have a weight bench and everything at home, so I can do it all at home.
All right. Well, very cool. Talk about the weightlifting class, because that's something relatively new here at Wawasee, Caydence, that a lot of folks may not be aware of, and the fact that the girls and the guys both do lifting. Talk about how the class works.
Well, we have a normal gym. We have bench press, we have back squat, front squat, dumbbells, we have medicine balls.
But you've got a teacher in there who knows all about weightlifting. And is it something specific then to you that's set up?
Well, not really, but we have our own. He gives us leniency, so we can go off and put on as much weight as we want, how little we want, but he still gives us a plan, kind of like in practice. We have a practice plan, but he gives us like a guide.
Mm-hmm. And then how are you graded for weightlifting class?
Our participation.
Okay.
So if he sees that we're just standing at the racks, he'll knock it down. But if we are trying and putting our 100% into it, 110, he'll grade us. It's an easy grade, but you actually have to participate.
You've got a different patch there on your letter jacket there on the sleeve. I've never seen that one before. The Wawasee Warrior patch. What is does everybody get that patch? That's a new one. I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm pretty sure everyone gets it.
Okay. Well, that's a new one. I'm not I've not seen that one before. And then you got a medal. Yeah. What is that about?
This is just offered to you.
I see.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, neat. Talk a little bit about school. What do you like to study in school? What are you good at? Does it impact your managing somehow?
So this year at school, I started getting more into the nursing type of programs.
Okay.
So our health sciences. So,
sure.
I'm currently taking Principles of Biomedical Sciences.
As a sophomore?
As a sophomore, yes. There are some seniors in that class, and there's freshmen, so it's a good mix of students. And I like to take more of the science classes, and it definitely helps me because we work a lot with people, like with our other students and stuff. So, like, it helps me with my people skills, I guess you could say, and managing, so I can...
Now, that particular program, if I understand, if you continue on, you actually come out not just with a high school diploma, but you come out with a CNA.
Correct.
And you are actually certified to go right into the workforce in health sciences.
Yes.
Is that your plan?
Yes, that is my plan.
Wow, because CNAs, A, they make pretty decent dough, and B, there is such a huge need.
Oh, yeah.
For, I think, a certified nursing assistant, right? That's what CNA stands for?
Yep.
And there is such a huge need for that. You can find a job right here in Syracuse. They're constantly.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to go here. I mean, you want to go.
You can go to Goshen Hospital.
Go to Florida,
I bet they're advertising for 30 of them right
Alabama.
Oh yeah.
How'd you get interested in that? I mean, you go ahead, talk about that a little bit.
So my grandma a lot of my grandmas and like great grandmas and stuff. They were all in the nursing and they worked in nursing homes. And
it's a family thing.
So like I grew up around like helping people, helping sick people, and like when my mom and dad are sick or my little brother's sick, I hand people the medicine. I help them out. I give them their ice packs and everything else, and I just like I want to help people out and make them get better. So it's just a passion of mine. So,
what's the plan beyond the CNA? Is there one? Because you're a sophomore, you may not have even thought further than that. But where you want to end up?
I definitely want to be like working in the ER, like as an ER nurse.
Okay, well then you want the RN then, right?
Yeah, this is just a start, and it'll give me a good like boost right after high school to get a job.
No doubt.
So give me good experience and.
Yeah, that it used to be folks went from their education right into RN, but now it's much more common to go through a series of certifications. I guess that's not just in nursing, it's in a lot of different professions now. But you're going to go, your plan then, if I understand you correctly, is to go through the series of certifications to make it up to that ER RN spot.
Yes.
That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat.
Caydence, tell us a little bit about your plans. I mean, you're only a sophomore. You're pretty soon you'll be halfway through. About your favorite classes and stuff you like to do here.
Yeah, start with what you like now and where you see that taking you.
I love physics.
Ooh!
Yeah.
A woman after Kaz's heart. Go on.
I love science. That's where it really started off in middle school. And this year, I got brought into ICP, which is Integrated Chem Phys. So it has a mixture of both. But my teacher has really but inspired me to go into physics. I just love it so much.
Who's your teacher?
Jed Wanlin. He is an amazing teacher. He teaches robotics here. So he's just an all-around awesome person. So I think that's what I see myself doing in the future.
What a time to be going into physics with the work that's going on now in fusion, nuclear fusion, with all that work that's going on, and we stand on the cusp of a brand new age when it comes to physics. The astrophysics is going on with the Webb telescope. I mean, this is, if you were going to go into physics, this is the time to do it. You've got to be excited by all that.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome time. I think even if all that stuff wasn't going on, I'd still be excited because it's just something that's like true to my heart. Like, I love it.
Now, are you more into applied physics or more into theoretical physics? Or have you not gotten that far along that you know?
Probably both.
Okay.
Because we do a mixture of both in integrated chem phys.
Mm-hmm.
But I think...
Which is the nature of the integrated part of chem phys.
Yeah. So I think once I get more into it, because I think I'm taking AP physics next year. So, but I'm doubling up on my sciences next year because that's what I just love.
Aren't you afraid that that's going to be a lot of work?
No. I mean, I've always been pretty good in school. So I think...
So you're going to take AP physics next year. And what other science are you taking to go with it?
Earth and space.
Oh, wow.
So the astrophysics part, along with AP, wow. I don't know that I could do that. That's pretty impressive. Very impressive. So a couple of young ladies who know where they want to go, Kaz. A couple of young ladies. It's something, both coming at it from in the sciences.
Yeah, and again, for the millionth time, think about Wawasee and all they're able to offer. And these two kids, they're thinking about what they want to do as sophomores.
Yeah.
Here I am retired, and I'm still looking for a job.
And in the sciences too, there was a long time when Wawasee didn't really produce people for sciences because the other schools advanced further than we did. But what's impressive to me is you're taking all of it's impressive to me. But we've got one young lady here who's taking the biology track, and one who's taking the chem physics, more of the physics really than chem physics track. Two totally different ends of science, but wow, just incredible. Ladies, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We've going to get back to Coach Everingham here in just a moment on Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. And welcome back to Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. Rejoined by the head basketball coach of the Wawasee Warriors, Coach John Everingham. Coach, what an impressive couple of young ladies you brought to us that are your student assistants.
Yeah, that's right. They came to us. I know Coach O'Connell talked to me, earlier in the year saying, hey, I found a couple managers, and he's like, they're going to be awesome, and they're sophomores, so they might be around here for a little while. But I think by listening to them talk, they're really enjoying, their roles on the basketball team. We certainly, not just me and the coaches, but the players make them feel a part of the team. And whether it be their snacks or their encouraging words to players, they certainly have fit in very, very well within our program.
Coach, I was just going to say, that's always nice, too. It's great for the managers because they get credit for a letter.
Yep.
And then it's great for the kids because they got somebody to talk to. And then I think it's really great to have a couple of girls doing that want to do that because it just gives a little bit of different, help me out here, a little different attitude.
Yep.
And as watching them, give the towels and talk to the kids and do everything you're asking them to do, they do a great job.
Yeah, it's just like they're the little sisters on the team.
Exactly.
So
I couldn't think of that.
We talk about family, and we talk about having each other's back, and certainly, even though they're girls, I think they're a part of the family, and the guys really have treated them like their little sisters, and so it's kind of cool to watch going on.
It is.
So they live and die just the same thing like the players do. They get a little disappointed when we don't win and when we don't have success, and then super happy when we do. So just glad to have them a part of the program. And
they even watch the game. I mean, while you're calling the game, a lot of times I'll be watching them, and they are really into the game. And when the Wawasee does well, they're excited and cheering and everything. And a player will come off, and they'll hand them the towel and talk to them and take them back to their bench. It's really interesting.
So tonight we take on Lakeland. Lakeland, same size of school that we are. Plays in the NECC, and they're having some success in conference up there.
Yeah, they're intersectional too. So they're definitely a team that you keep an eye on. Throughout the season, and they lost some key contributors to last year's team, but they just keep getting better and better as the season goes along. And I know they lost the game in overtime last night. But they have a guy, the coach's son, in Ben Kyle, that is capable. He just reminds me actually a lot of Dukes. He's very capable of scoring 25 to 30 points. He can shoot from the outside. He is strong.
He is.
And he is a very strong kid. But he can score inside. He can do it outside. He drives. His transition game's really good. But they've struggled to find the right pieces around him. And so there's a lot of pressure on that kid to perform at a high level in order for them to win. And so it kind of feels like there's a similarity within the two teams. And so it'll be an interesting game tonight to kind of see how well we do in stopping Ben Kyle. And then I'm sure they're thinking the same thing. How are we going to control Keaton Dukes? And it's like two heavyweights that are going to go at it. It's like the role players are going to have to come through tonight.
Coach, are they going to guard each other? I noticed Kyle. I looked him up on Max Prep. He's averaging 19 points a game, and everybody else is in single figures on that team. And is he going to be? Or can we say that? Because I'm sure their coach will hear it and be ready for it. He'll be ready for it anyway, won't he?
Yeah, they know. They're two. The big dogs.
They're big dogs, right?
I can tell you, Keaton's guarding him, so I can't imagine that. That Ben won't be guarding, Keaton as well. Now they do play some zone.
Really?
So they do.
Well, Lakeland has traditionally played a 2-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll play that full court stuff, and they'll run and jump us. They'll try to get us to turn the ball over a little bit. So, in our walkthrough this morning, we're going to have to kind of go through, some of their different press looks. We haven't been pressed in a while, and so we did a little bit last night. We broke it fine, but teams really have been very cautious about trapping or pressing us because you leave some of our shooters wide open and you're asking for trouble. And so it'll be interesting to see what their coach, his name is Chris Kyle, former teammate of mine.
Really?
In college, yeah.
Wow,
So
talk a little bit about that.
Tri-State Thunder. Chris Kyle actually went to the University of Indianapolis, I believe, to play golf and then transferred because he wanted to play basketball to Tri-State. So he's an older upperclassman. I was a recruit coming in, and I was a guy that wanted to play golf and basketball, and he kind of took me under his wing, and we played a lot of golf together, and obviously we were teammates on the basketball floor too. So very appreciative of him for his mentorship when I was first coming into college, and we've caught up over the years several times, and then he became the head coach at Lakeland, and so it's going to be very interesting coaching against him again. I think this is the second time.
Wow, you're coaching against one of your good friends.
Yeah,
well, tell me, I've got a really important question here. Towards the end of your career there at college, who was the better player? You or
me or
you or Kyle?
And no doubt about it. He was the better player. So now you ask him that.
I'll ask him that tonight.
I will tell you. I know the answer he's going to say.
Yeah.
He's going to say I was much better than him.
Right. We'll see that.
But I will tell you that he was a warrior, man. He's not super tall for the collegiate level, but man, he's super physical. And another guy, you guys might remember the name Frank Berg from Warsaw, was a point guard at Warsaw. Was on the team with us, and our three guards were about 5'10", 5'10", and we were conference champions that year, and that's a really big deal from where we were at, and so he's a very, very good player. I wasn't far behind, but he was a very good player.
So Lakeland tonight, then we turn around just a little bit early, and Thursday we travel to take on the Ridge.
That's right.
I don't like going to Northridge because playing at that place is nasty. Historically, we lose cell phone coverage here. I've been told that's not going to happen this time. But historically, we've had trouble getting a game out of there, so I've torn a lot of hair out of my head in Northridge's gym. My boss, Jeremy Van Loo, told me that that's how that was now, so we'll see about that. But Northridge always comes out. Up-tempo basketball, up and down the floor. They've always got big horses.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on the radio, right? We're doing the coaches show.
Yeah.
I can talk about this type of stuff. You know how Bill talks about Warsaw sometimes?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up and I was born and raised, and it runs pretty deep. You know, the rivalry between Goshen and Northridge.
A little bit there.
I can tell you that I don't care where I'm at. or what I'm doing, that does not leave. So it runs pretty deep. I think that's a fair statement to say that all the things you said about going over to Northridge, I'm very aware
way, do you?
of the feelings that I have when I walk in that gym. And so it's never easy to win over there. I do know that. They got an outstanding coach in Scott Radiker. He's got to be one of the best coaches in the state of Indiana. And when he had the horses last year, they were exceptionally hard to beat. You know, they won the sectional championship 2 years ago when COVID struck and canceled the regional. And certainly, I personally, all the bad things I have to say maybe about Northridge and all that stuff, that rivalry.
That comes from that burnt black cinder in the center of your heart that is placed there by your high school. Yes. I understand.
Yeah. So, but I do certainly respect the players and the coaches from Northridge then and now. But Scott Radiker is their coach now, and he's really good. I think he came from Lafayette Jeff or something like that, and he does a really good job with that team. He's also a quality human being and a friend of mine. So he does a nice job with them. They're going to be ready to go anytime you go on the road in the NLC. I mean, anytime. It does not matter if you're the undefeated team in the NLC playing the team that hasn't won yet. It's going to be a war.
Yes.
And so we wouldn't expect anything less going over there to Northridge. It's going to be two teams that really want it. Now, Northridge, lost some guys, and so they got some chinks in their armor, certainly, and some teams have been taking advantage of that. We'll have to take a look at film, and we'll be prepared going over there, and I think we'll be a better basketball team on Thursday than we are on Monday, and I think that's going to be really key for us, that we spend the practice time getting better at a few things and then go execute over at Northridge.
It's been a long time since you played on the road. That pause going to cause some wrinkles for you. You think your kids will just fall right into the going on the road business?
No, it's weird because I don't know exactly what it is, but I think home cooking, you go home after school and you got, maybe you get Subway, and at times, even you may take a little rest, before the game. You get into this routine at home. Then you go on the road and you get out of school, and before you know it, you're right on that bus and you're sitting on the cold bus, and you get there and then you're there way too early, and it's just a different routine that maybe we're not used to. Like, we went over to Plymouth, and it's almost like an unexplainable lack of energy, that we had. And certainly as a coach, you're thinking about, well, why did that happen? And I think you have to put some weight into, going on the road when you haven't been on the road in a while. So yes, that actually is a concern that we can find the energy on the road. Now I will tell you the sectional's at home, so that's kind of nice.
Oh my, how huge is that going to be?
Always important.
Yeah. So yeah, it is something that we'll have to take a look at, and then we got Mishawaka at home on Saturday night. I know we'll talk about that next Saturday, but two NLC games, back to back. Tonight, at Lakeland, and then Northridge and Mishawaka. So it's a stretch of basketball games. We beat Bethany. We knew that we had 3 home games this week and then one next week, so that's 5 games in 2 weeks. And so, if we come out of there at 4-1, that would be awfully amazing. So we got to get the one tonight. That'd be a good start.
Tell me about how are you going to prepare for this Northridge game? Now I know it's down the road a bit, but
yep. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think we're going to have to draw upon experiences that we've had in the NLC to say, hey, look, they're not going to do anything different. Those coaches are really good. Yeah. Like I said, Radiker's good. He's going to find what we're not good at, and he's going to try to exploit it. And so, the physical nature of play and them bodying us up is certainly going to be another key factor in the NLC game. And so, again, those are things that I talked about last night on the radio after the post game, is that our JV also needs to understand that they can help us. This is a team effort, 1 through 15. If we can get our JV team playing really physical in practice and really bodying us up, I think it starts on Monday in practice. If we can have a good practice on Monday and Tuesday, getting ready for that, and executing some of our back cuts maybe just a little bit better, when teams try to deny it. Those are things that we just have to practice. I pulled in this morning, and my thoughts when I pulled in the parking lot this morning was, why didn't we back cut that? And I said to myself out loud, we have to practice everything.
Yes.
You know, and so if you want to be better back cutting team, you got to practice it. If you want to be a better post play, you got to practice it, you know, and so we're going to continue to plug away. Again, our kids have had great attitudes and they've been all in on some practice ideas and different ideas. And so I wouldn't expect anything less from them.
No, tonight's game is going to be interesting, and then Northridge game is going to be interesting. So you've got a whole bunch of interesting stuff down the road, and it's just going to be exciting. Basketball season's so long, and it's so good, and you're traveling away, and then you're home. I mean, it's that's why we have the movie Hoosiers.
That's right. So tonight we are home via Lakeland. We'd love to see you at the gymnasium. JV 6:15, varsity right around 7:30 or so. If you can't be at the gym, be by the radio. Coach Kaz and I will have the call for you. Then next Thursday night, it's a little unusual for varsity basketball, but it'll be on Thursday. We travel to the Ridge all the way up to Middlebury. You might want to go eat at the Essenhaus and then a little basketball. Again, JV 6:15, varsity 7:30. Coach Everingham, thanks for coming in this morning. This has been Coach's Corner on 93.7 FM The Mix and 937themix.com. WRWTLP, Syracuse.